All right, guys. So the second method that we are going to cover is what is called either the change to grouping method or the AC method. All right, change to grouping or the AC method. The reason why it's called the AC method is because you're going to multiply the coefficient of the first term or the A term times the C term. Coefficient of the A term times the C term. That's where then they talk about the AC method, and you're doing that in order to rewrite the middle term. You're going to be splitting the middle term into two separate terms, and when you create those two terms with the middle terms, and then you end up having four terms, which is why it's called changing to grouping, because you're changing it from three terms to four terms. And once you have four terms, you can group two terms and the other two terms in order for you to go ahead and factor this trinomial. So now let's then multiply. If we multiply the coefficient of the A term, which is 12, times the C term, which is 5, then we'll have what? 5 times 12, which equals to 60. So the 60 that we have here, now we're going to break it down, because now we're looking for two numbers that we can add or combine together to get the negative 23 that we have here. But the same two numbers, we need to be able to multiply them in order for us to get the 60, positive 60 that we have here. So if we then do the factor tree, dividing the 60 by the smallest prime factor, which would be 2, answer would be 30. Divide 30 by, again, 2. Answer would be 15, and then 15, divide that by 3, because 2 will not go into 15 evenly. So the answer to that is 5. So all those are prime factors, and that's all we could do for now. So now, with these prime factors we have, we're looking for a way to combine them together, whether we multiply them or combine them, or we could create two numbers, and those two numbers with the same signs have to add up to be negative 23, and then we have to multiply the same two numbers to get the positive 60. Not to get 5, as you would do if your coefficient would be 1, but to get 60 once you multiply. So now, if we multiply 2 times 2, that is 4, right? That is 4. Well, what if we multiply 3 times 5? That is 15. 15 and 4, that would not give us negative 23. So that would not work. So then what if we then multiply, we already have 4 here. What if we were to multiply 4 times 3? That would be 12. 12 and 5 would be 17. That wouldn't work. However, if we multiply 4, right? 2 times 2, 4 times 5, then that would give us 20, right? Because this here would give us 4. 4 times 5 here, that would give us 20. And then what we would have left is this 3 here. Well, we have a 20, we have a 3, which means there's a way we can get negative 23. What way? Well, if we had a negative sign here and a negative sign here, then negative 20, negative 3 would give us negative 23. And the same way, if we multiply a negative 20 times negative 3, that would also give us a positive 60. So those are the numbers we were looking for. So with those numbers, what we have to do next is to bring down the first term, 12x squared, okay? And then we have to pick either the 20 or the negative 3. So let's say if we just bring the negative 20 up here, obviously you have to add an x to it. And then if you bring the negative 3, following it, you have to add an x to it as well. So once you find your term, you have to add an x to them once you bring them up into your polynomial. And then plus 5. Plus 5 is basically the C term that you drop in as is. You didn't do anything to it. The only thing you're rewriting is the middle term. So instead of negative 23, so now it's broken down into negative 20 minus negative 3, and then you add the x to each one, okay? So now if you try to group this, you're going to notice that the negative 3 and the 5, there's no GCF between those. However, if you swap these, keeping the same thing, the same signs, the same expression, but swapping them, you're going to notice that with 3 and 12, there's a GCF, and that's what you want. and with negative 20x and 5, there's a GCF. So let's just swap these, and I wanted to write it like that because sometimes you run into this, but you have to look and see how can you play with those, swap them in order for you to factor them or work with them. So now let's then rewrite negative 3x, okay, from the negative 3, and then minus 20x from the negative 20. You just add x to it. So same expression, you just swap them. So now you could group these together, and then you can group the second term together, because once you have 4 terms, now you can group them, which is why they call it change to grouping. At first with the trinomial, you can't really group anything, but now you can, okay? So now you're looking for the GCF between the first 2 terms, and that would be 3x. So if you pull out a 3x, what you would have left in the inside would be 4x minus 1, because you pull out the 3x already. And then the second expressions, the second 2 terms, you would have to pull out the leading sign. The leading sign means that in front of the first term here, you have a negative, so you would have to pull that negative out. And then with the GCF, which would be 5, you pull the 5 out, what you would have left, okay, a negative 20 divided by a negative 5, your answer would end up being a positive 4x. And then if you then divide a positive 5 by a negative 5, you end up with a negative 1. And you notice that the good thing about using the changing to grouping method or the AC method is that towards the end, you're going to have a set of twins towards the end. And if you guys remember last class when we covered, they would give us these examples where all we had to do was rewrite the reminders. Those are the reminders, the negative 5 and the 3x are the reminders. So they would give us this, and then we would just go ahead and write the 3x minus 5, which are the reminders, and then we would drop one of the two twins, okay? The 2 set of twins would just drop one of them, which is 4x minus 1, and we would be finished. So what I remember telling you guys in class that they've given us this, but the original thing was the a trinomial with the exponent being greater than 1. So they already find the two numbers, then they rewrite the 4 terms, and then they factored out the GCF, and that's what sometimes they would give us, and all we would have to do would just to rewrite the final answer, because most of the work has already been done for us. And so what they were giving us was part of the AC method or the changing to grouping method. If you guys want to use this method, you can. But the next method I'm going to show you in the next video will be the Colombian method, or what some people call the slide and divide method. So after I go through all those 3 methods, I will go ahead and do a few more examples and considering Colombian methods, because last semester most of the students thought it was easier, so I'll continue using the Colombian methods. But if you like this, which is the AC method, AC, okay, or changing to grouping, you can use it. Or if you like the trial and error, which we did in the last video, you could use it in the next video that we will be recording. If you like the slide and divide or the Colombian method, you could also use that. All right, thank you.